Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Out, and if you are watching on the tube, it's NYC Gal Pod. So we are talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 15, episode 10. Now, the cast is still split. Dorit, Kyle, and Rachel Zoe, they are still in New York in the Hamptons, and the rest of the ladies are back in California, all the way on the other side of the country. I personally enjoyed the scenes with Erika. So for this episode, I thought everybody's scene was boring, except for the end of the episode when Denise appears, which is like the last 10 minutes of the episode. But let's just get into a quick recap of what happened in the episode. Rachel So is still trying to relive her 20s and have her hot girl summer, which is very cringe for a middle-aged woman to say. Listen, I'm all about you're as young as you feel. That scene with the ladies and the guys, I think they were in a band or some shit. I don't even know. I have no idea who those people were. But there was this guy, Sander, that Dorit was flirting with. He said he was 26, then he said he was 40, and Rachel's like, oh yeah, us too. Whatever. In her confessional, she said that she met some guy at the red carpet. He said he was 26, and she was like, yeah, me too. I'm turning 27 next month. Like, girl, nobody believes that, but okay. Anyway, I don't have a problem with what they were doing. Men do that shit all the time. But I say all of that to say that despite the fact that I cringe every single time Rachel So says she wants her hot girl summer, I still feel like, you know what? Nobody bats an eye when it's middle-aged men trying to pick up 20-year-olds. And I don't feel like, what they're doing is any different. So I personally don't find the scene cringy. Like, I think it's cringy that Rachel So says hot girl summer, like she's trying to relive her 20s. But I don't think it's cringy what they're trying to do as far as the dating scene, meeting men, going clubbing, whatever. I didn't think there was anything interesting going on in the Hamptons, so whatever. Back over there on the West Coast, Bose and her daughter, they talk a little bit about her IVF journey. It doesn't matter how mature of a 16-year-old you are. At her age, she's not thinking about infertility and IVF and all this other stuff. Even if she understands the biology of it, and I'm not saying that she doesn't, but even if she did, that's not a topic that a 16-year-old is thinking about. When you're 16, you're thinking about prom dresses, about boys that you like. And if you are like the really studious academic type, then you're thinking about college, PSAT, ACT, all that other stuff. No matter how much of a strong relationship you guys have, or, how mature she is, that kind of conversation is more geared towards your therapist. And then Bose and Sutton, they also meet up together to kind of basically say how Amanda's coming off weird and that she's not really acting correctly. She doesn't know how to fit in because she's trying too hard to fit into the group. What I felt that Bose really hit on the nail was that when she said she feels like Amanda is trying too hard to prove that she belongs in the group. And she's saying, like, you don't need to prove that you belong in the group. Just act like you're already a part of the group, because you are. Listen, whether they're friendly to you or cold to you or whatever, you are in the group because you're getting a paycheck. You're a cast member. You're already in the group. And so I think that is the problem, that she's trying too hard to fit into the group, but she's already a part of the group, whether they want her to be or not. And I think she needs to realize that. I said, Jen Aiden on Real Housewives of New Jersey, her first season, she kept talking about her 16 bathrooms. Amanda is basically doing the same thing, but a lot of newbies do that. A lot of newbies who get onto the show who feels like they need to prove that they belong in the group, they make that mistake. So that's why I don't have that energy for Amanda that some of the other Bravo audiences do see on the comments. She's not very likable. A lot of people have like a lot of negative things to say about her, and I could definitely see how she's annoying, but I don't feel that energy for her because I feel like she's just making newbie mistakes. And I feel like with any newbie, you got to give them at least 2 seasons. Amanda has a scene with her fiance Eddie. Is his name Eddie? I don't know what his name is. But anyway, while Amanda is basically giving him a replay of what happened with her manifestation luncheon, her husband says, well, you don't really know her, because she was saying that, like, the other ladies at her luncheon was saying that she was causing problems between Dorit and Kyle and all this other stuff and blah, 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 blah. Listen, I don't understand if Sutton and Bose and the others, if they're the ones who are saying all of this to you, why is your anger at Dorit? That doesn't make sense to me, because like Dorit wasn't at your luncheon. Like, she wasn't even at your luncheon. Why are you upset with Dorit when Sutton's the one that's saying, just own up to it, stop using Kyle as your, go-to, just say, yeah, I was talking about you, I had an opinion and all this other stuff. And the other ladies at your luncheon, they were the ones that were saying that you pivoting to saying that you were just agreeing with Kyle, that it was causing a problem between Kyle and Dorit. But those words came from Sutton Stracke Brown and Bose, and I don't think Erica said anything, and whoever else was at your dinner table, Kathy Hilton, Natalie, I don't even know who else. So I kind of feel like, why are you upset with Dorit? She wasn't even at your luncheon, but when you were sitting there talking with your fiance, you were directing your anger towards Dorit. I personally don't even think that what Amanda said was even bad at all. I think Dorit was very annoyed with her with that whole book thing. I think that that's what kind of shifted in their relationship, because I don't think that Dorit had a problem with her until she was very annoyingly one-upping Dorit for no reason. I think that had more to do with anything else than PK and her opinion about PK. And listen, once you already have a bad moment with someone that you are not very familiar with, it kind of sours you, because it's different if you know the person, if you already have a relationship with that person, you can move on from it and it's no big deal and whatever. But when it's someone that you don't really have a relationship with and they do something to bruise your ego, offend you, insult you, whether directly or indirectly, you already feel a certain way about them. I felt like her husband, fiance, whatever, saying to her, well, listen, when I was going through my divorce, I didn't want anybody's opinion. I didn't want to hear anybody's opinion. And, you don't really know her. So I felt like her husband was kind of being like the voice of reason. I felt like he threw in that last part about Dorit because he wanted to be supportive of his fiance, wife, whatever. So he threw in a little shade. So then we get to the scene with Erika and Amanda. And I felt like Erika was trying to kind of be like a girl's girl with Amanda, which is bonkers, because you would not think that Erika Jayne would be the one to mentor anyone. But there she is. She's talking with Amanda. They're talking a little bit about whatever. Then they get to the cult. Amanda explains her cult. She said that, it happened in the early 2000s, I think 2008 or something. She said that she had this Christian youth group that she was involved with through church, even though her parents weren't religious. And then somehow she ended up in Florida. The cult leader opened up a church in Florida. And then on Halloween, she escaped. Whatever. Anyway, I felt like what Erika was doing was trying to tell her how she could fit in a little bit better with the group. You know what? Like I said, you are already by default a part of the group. Whether the other ladies want you to be or not, you're already a part of the group. So you don't need to do the one up. It comes off as very annoying, very irritating, very pick me, not just to your castmates, but to the audience, the viewers at home. Anyway, then let's get to the actual interesting part of this whole damn episode. You know what? I feel like we have not seen Jennifer Tilly or Kathy Hilton, and now we're seeing a scene with Denise Richards. I feel like there was not a lot of scenes to film. There was not a lot happening. They're bringing in everybody. There's a lot of guest appearances, a lot of friend stuff, but also, where is Jennifer Tilly? Like, we haven't seen her in like the last 2 episodes. And Kathy Hilton, she's not really making much of an appearance, whatever. Anyway, Denise Richards, she comes back onto our Beverly Hills TV screen. The last time that we saw Denise Richards, she had her fur jacket upside down and talking gibberish. But whatever. I will say, though, that what I admire about Denise Richards is that she was just like, I had a facelift and a boob job. The boob job, whatever. But the facelift, a lot of people do not want to admit that they've had facial surgery as far as plastic surgery is concerned. And I love that Denise Richards was just like, yeah, I had a facelift done, because Denise Richards, back in her heyday, she was like the it girl as far as being like a sex symbol. I love that she's able to just say it nonchalant, like, yeah, I got a facelift. But anyway, they take a serious turn in the conversation. They talk about, her DV situation with her ex. Her ex has came out, denied the allegations and whatever, but they wrote footages of how he behaved even on camera. And I always feel like, you know what, there's only so much that you can maintain a mask. And the way he spoke to her, it wasn't the way that he spoke to Erika and Kyle, but it was the way that he spoke to Denise. And I get when somebody's poking you or egging you on and you just lose your shit, because we've all been there. That's why I said, what was alarming to me wasn't him having his back and forth with Erika or with Kyle. I believe her. Just from that, because it's one thing when you're losing your cool, people are egging you on, when you're directing that anger towards your significant other. That's the red flag. I see a lot of people like, oh, look at how he treated Erika and Kyle. You know what? If somebody is annoying me like that, I would want my husband to be like, you know what, go fuck yourself. It was the way that he directed that anger and frustration on Denise, because that is a classic sign of a DV abuser. DV abusers, when they are angry at the world, when they have no control over others or the situations in their lives or whatever, they direct all that anger where they feel they do have control over the people that they have control, whether it's their spouse, their partner, their children, whatever. So if you're having a bad day at work, if something didn't go the way you want, you can't yell at your boss, you can't yell at your coworker. So you then direct that anger and frustration onto your spouse, your children, your significant other. So it was like he was very angry at Erika and at Kyle, but he really couldn't do anything to them. And instead, he directed that anger towards Denise. That is a classic sign of DV. So I really do feel like Denise's allegations against him, I believe her. I do. Now, Erika, though, she tells Denise that she understands what she's going through because she's been through it. Sutton is really shocked, and Denise too, and they kind of bond over that, Denise and Erika. Now, this part I didn't get. There's like this little article blurb at the end, and it says something like her ex, Aaron, exposes text messages that Denise had a relationship with her castmates, ex-force guys. Okay, so it's like the ex, Aaron, is he making an accusation that Denise hooked up with that Shrek guy? That's his nickname, Shrek. Because that's what that blurb made it seem like. Did you guys get that? Like, am I misunderstanding that blurb? Because I had to pause the scene to read the headline, and the headline made it seem like Denise Richards had like a sexual fling with the Shrek guy. That's how I read that as. You guys tell me if you think it means something else. I didn't see anybody talking about that. Everybody else was talking about, Erika's DV allegation, but nobody seems to be talking about that. So I don't know if maybe nobody picked that up or what. I definitely picked it up. Anyway, so Erika, she said that there were 3 incidents. She doesn't name the person, but she kind of narrows it down to who it was because she said that it wasn't any of her husbands. It was recent and it was after Tom. So now, you guys, if you're following Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you're a fan of the show, you follow news about the cast, whatever, then you guys already know that in 2023, she was allegedly rumored to be dating this lawyer that used to be good friends with Tom Girardi, this guy Jim Wilkes down in Florida. They were photographed together at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas and whatever else. A few weeks before they were seen at Caesar's Palace, he was arrested. And what he was arrested on was a DV charge. He was accused of assault with a deadly weapon and for firing 2 pow-pows at a woman. Now, the woman is unnamed, but the timeline is a huge coincidence, right? Up until the very end of the episode, I thought the guy she was talking about was like the special forces guy. Didn't you guys think that? It was only towards like the very end when Denise was like, well, now you're dating a new guy. And they were like, yeah, whatever. He's a special force guy. And it's like, are we ever going to meet him? And she's like, hell no. That was when I was like, oh, okay, it's somebody else. But didn't you guys think she was talking about that guy? That's who I thought she was talking about all the way up until like the very last part. Anyway, that was the episode.